So, welcome to Conversations with Real People about Spiritual Stuff. And I have with me today my hairstylist, for lack of a better word, Cassandra. So, Cassandra Zutelija. And I've known her for 20 years now. And I met you, Cass, actually through my husband, because you were my husband's stylist first. And then he recommended you. So, I started to see you, and then that was it from then on. Do you remember those days?
I do. I remember it like it was yesterday, which is awesome because it doesn't make me feel as old as I actually am. So it's, you know, like I just remember sort of going like, oh my gosh, you know, that there was this mysteriousness to, you know, about you, and, you know, and it's funny for me, you know, back then I was a hell of a lot more shyer, and, you know, but I just sort of felt like I needed to know what that was and what you were about and what all that feeling was about, because I wasn't, you know, really, I guess, aware of, you know, spirituality and, like, you know, all these feelings and, you know, instincts and things that we can get, you know, or the things or the ties that draw us to certain people. But I just always felt that with you.
I love that. That is awesome. And what I loved about you is you were really bubbly and had a really nice persona. And I always felt warm and welcome, and you were easy to talk to. And I did sense that other side of you too, you know, like, but I'm like that too, because I'm introverted and all of that. But I trusted you as a person from the beginning right through, you know, to this day. And so what I'd say about you is you have this kind of dynamic personality and you're super creative. And I've always admired that about you. And at the same time, you've got this other sensitive side, which I could obviously feel as well. And we've talked about loads over time. But I'm really curious, before we get into your background and stuff, is how you, do you remember back in the day, like when did we start talking about spiritual stuff, or, you know, like go that extra level?
I think it might have been, I think it actually stemmed around your migraines. Like, you know, we used to talk a lot about your migraines and stuff, and it might have been only a couple of appointments, like maybe a second or third appointment. And I think, you know, I guess for me, I was, you know, just trying to sort of think, oh, you know, what could it be that's trying to trigger you, or, you know, all these sorts of things. And I think somehow we ended up on the topic of sensing things, feeling things, noticing things before your migraines were coming along, or stuff like that. And then somehow it just eventuated that we just, you know, each time we would see each other, like, you know, I think you would have more questions for me and I would have more questions for you, or you would have answers for me and I'd have questions for you, you know. And we always kind of seem to be quite in sync like that, you know, like I really felt always quite in sync. I've always sort of felt, even from the early days with you, that, you know, when I do speak to you, when I do see you, you know, you always kind of give me what I need at that time, even if I don't even know it's something I need, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, I mean, you know, I don't know, you know, whether I do that same thing for you. I mean, apart from your hair, but, you know, like, I guess, you know, sometimes even just things to think about, you know, or different pathways to think about and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's amazing. You do the same with me. You do. And so it's funny. It's case in point, because here we are right now and something else is happening on another level as well. And that's how it goes. So when I first saw you, you were working in a salon, and now you've established yourself, and you were like, you just thought, you know what, I'm going to take the reins and I'm going to create my own company. As you can see in the background there, Artistic, is it? Artistic?
Yeah.
Awesome name. Yeah, and I love that it's got art in it, because that's you. You're so creative, and you just had to unleash your wild creative side into what you do. So let's talk about that, like your background with learning to be a hairdresser and all of that, hairstylist, and then how you came into your own.
Yeah, and it's funny, you know, because I never actually wanted to be a hairdresser, and it was actually something that You know, I literally fell into. I saw it as something to do at the time until I worked out what I wanted to do, and I guess, you know, in hindsight, it's sort of early stages of following my gut, and I just sort of went with it, and things snowballed. And, you know, I was doing really well. You know, I got a great job at a great salon. You know, I had a lot of amazing opportunities. I won a lot of awards. And I, you know, and it came to kind of be something that, you know, like I really sort of grew to love. And then, you know, in my older years now, like I've actually realized, you know, how much more to it. And I guess that's where the spiritual, you know, and the empathetic stuff comes in, you know, how much that part of me is actually tying in more with my work now and what I, you know, want to do with my business and stuff. So, yeah.
That might have been one of the first times that you really followed your hunch and look where it's taken you, because there's also that aspect of freedom, just being your own entrepreneur, doing things your way and not having to go by the system. Because, you know, we've talked before about what it's like in a hair salon. And I'm pretty sure not that long ago we had this discussion. And that's one of the reasons I love coming to you as well now that you work from home, because it's one-on-one, because I know you, I'm so comfortable with you, and there's no one else around, because you know what it's like in the salon, all the mirrors, like it's such bad feng shui and energy. And I've been to salons before, even when I've taken my kids to the local mall or something, and all the energy that flies around from one window to another, and then that sort of negative energy between sometimes some of the workers and that sort of toxic culture, and then the clients. And I could feel it all, and it's just like I'm sitting in the middle of all these arrows and rays. And so how did that impact you before, and how do you find the difference now?
It's weird because I think it took me a while to actually realize, you know, that's what that was, you know, that, you know, the toxic environments, the toxic, you know, relationships either clients would have with stylists or stylists would have with other stylists, and things like that. And, you know, to realize that, oh, that's why I'm not enjoying where I am, or that's why I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, because I've got all this noise around me, you know, and it's just sort of, it's suffocating. And yeah, it is. It's wonderful, you know, to be in my own space, to be my own boss now, because I can choose if I want to have, you know, 2 clients here at a time, and I will actually choose that according to who I also think will be suitable, you know, and it's actually kind of uncanny sometimes how that's kind of worked, especially lately. You know, I've had so many clients that if they've doubled up, you know, with appointments, with, of course, with all the lovely lockdowns and stuff, and we're trying to play catch up, that they've actually said to each other, you know, with the 3 of us in conversation, that, you know, oh my God, I was meant to see you, you know, or I was meant to meet you, and they've exchanged details, and, you know, it's just bizarre. And I just still sit there going, oh, this is great. You know, this is kind of what I wanted, but oh my God, I wasn't expecting it at the same time. So it's an empowering feeling to feel that I really am helping beyond just doing someone's hair.
Yeah, it's like you followed that one hunch that we talked about, and then see where that led you step by step. And it's like, that's why I want to do these interviews too, because just to show people, just like you can just be anyone, and like, you know, and just move into what you want to do. And you don't see the whole picture always straight away. You can fantasize about it and have a kind of vision. And there definitely are always setbacks. There's always going to be the shitty side of everything. And you can feel like you're going backwards, or you're going crazy, and, oh, what have I done? But it always leads you back to the same path, and you just keep going forwards. And then you also learn through people, because it sounds like by doing that, you were more in the flow. You were drawing to you more people that you want to work with and help. But every now and again, it's just like in my work too, the universe throws a bit of a spanner in the works, and you get a difficult client or situation, or, you know, and you want to throw in the towel, but then you just keep going, right? And you learn discernment. And I think that through the work we do, you learn discernment along the way, because then that helps you make new boundaries and know what you want. And I've seen that in you, just even in the hours you operate, how you deal with things. And I can see it in so many different ways. So I think now it would be really nice to talk about, I'd just like to acknowledge you, just not just as an individual, because I think you're a really awesome person. And I think that sometimes being a nice person, a kind person, and a generous kind of person, and out there, it can mean that you have these experiences that like I talked about just before, like difficult experiences too. And it can be overwhelming, because I know that of myself as well and other sensitives out there. So I know of you that you're sensitive, you're empathic, and it can all get a bit much, right? Emotional, all that stuff. But you've just kept going. And I think that that's also another message to help people, that just, you know, you just keep going. You've got your vision and you're going to get there, and you can tweak and make changes. And one of the changes I've seen in your business is that you've become more creative. In fact, when I think of it now, you actually, way back 20 years ago, like I got my first highlights because you suggested it, and that's what you're like. Yeah, you're sitting there, and I can feel it coming. And you're like, you know what? Why don't you do this or that? And I'm like, oh yeah. And I actually went and did it. I even went all blonde at one stage, which you know, and it's like all from your encouragement. And then the last time I saw you, you were talking about maybe putting some blue or purple and just mixing it up. So what I've seen in your work recently is you're now doing all this creative color work and stuff like that. So I'd love you to talk about that, because I know it's your excitement kind of.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. That is my passion, is like, you know, rainbow hair art. I love it. I find that I can be my full creative self. I can, you know, with the majority of the clients that I do the rainbow hair art with, I literally have free reign. They say to me, I trust you. You do whatever you want. Or they might sort of say, you know, I'm feeling like I want a little bit of purple or a little bit of blue, but you can do it however you want. And I will literally sit there, more often than not beforehand. A lot of the thought process has gone into it beforehand, and I can actually picture what I want to do on that exact person. Like I can sort of see it in my mind. No, this is for such and such, and no, I'm going to do something like this for such and such. And you know, I can actually kind of see, and I can sense, and I can feel, and I actually feel like with those clients, I do actually work more on a, you know, like that other level, you know, that place outside of me, because, you know, it's, yeah, like I let it just come to me. Like I just look, and it's like, I can just see it flash before my eyes, you know, what I need to do. And it's, knock on wood, every time so far it's been perfect. So, you know, it hasn't let me down yet. So,
oh God,
I picture it.
I've seen it. I've seen it. This is your intuition opening up, because that's the clairvoyance, the third eye, you know, like the vision that you have, which really melds into being creative, because creatives alone, they are intuitive. They're in touch with something up there. It's like channeling through art. And at the same time, you've got the feels, which is your clairsentience, and you're feeling into it. And, you know, and you've just trusted it, and you've just gone with it, and it works, right? And so you're like, you're just tapping in. So your artistry, your innate core essence of being an artist, a creative, is coming through in the sort of mainstream job that you do. And that's your way of being able to express yourself and bring passion and purpose into what you do. And so there would be a real sense of fulfillment with that. And I know not everything's perfect, because there's always a downside to everything, but that does bring through a sense of fulfillment, and sort of like gets to scratch that itch that you have.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's amazing, because, you know, those appointments are always the longest appointments that I have with any of my work. You know, like the minimum is usually about, say, minimum is 3 hours, which doesn't sound like much, but it's constant work. But, you know, the maximum so far has been about 6.5 hours for me. Wow. You know, so, you know, even whether it's a 3 hour, you know, rainbow art, or whether it's a 6 hour, they are intense, really, really intense, you know, fully submersive, experiences for both of us, you know, when we're in that space. And, you know, afterwards, you know, like I come, you know, like we both obviously come out with like this huge sense of joy and excitement and empowerment. And at the same time, you know, later on, I find that I'm so physically drained, but still super happy, and I would still, you know, do it in a heartbeat, but so physically drained afterwards, you know, because I just feel like, you know, that is, you know, those are those moments where I've given my 110%, you know, like every single drop, you know.
I so hear you, because I know too that is not just because anyone can get tired doing the work and putting in the hours, but you've got the extra thing because you're empathic, you're soaking up the energy of that client. And even if they're a nice person, whatever, like you probably still get tired after meet, you know, like it's just, it's because, and this happens in my sessions too, like doing healings or energy or readings, is that I get so drained afterwards. It's just like, incredibly, because like you, it's that 110%. And I know that I've sat in your chair for like 4 to 4.5 hours just for a regular thing. So like, you know, and so that's one of the things I'd like to honor you about is I recognize you as being someone of integrity, because you'll say it as it is. You know, you don't lie, you don't make up stuff, and you don't make the client do something that maybe they don't want to do, or just to make extra money, whatever. And I recognize that.
Or something that you might or something that you might like to do, and I would just say, I just know that
you'll go nuts. Yeah. And I listen to you like like I totally get it. So yeah, I'm grateful for that, because not a lot of people work in integrity and alignment. When you're working in alignment, I think it's just a matter of trusting who you are and what you bring forth to people and what you're doing, and keeping in your zone, because some people are more likely to take you for granted, and I'm sure you've learned all those lessons along the way. And so I know, I like, there's a long line of them, I'm sure. And you know, me too. So it's like you just come to a point where it's okay, just keep focusing, you know, you go a little bit back, but you keep on your line, and that's what it's about, and just stay there. And it's also being authentic and true. And I think of people like yourself and myself, and we're authentic, and we work from integrity. And sometimes it's challenging because it doesn't always serve us. We're serving others. So for you, you're putting yourself right out there, like you're this funnel of light and vibrate, and you give so much energy of yourself. You radiate it from you, and then you get the takers who you like drink it all up and then leave you for dead. And then it's like, well, hello. So then, you know, then you just feel crappy afterwards. So what do you do to shake off the energy, and how have you found that you've sort of picked yourself up from that?
So I think one thing I've noticed over the last, you know, 7 odd years that we've moved up to regional is nature. You know, like I've been, you know, I have to just get out and go for like a walk in the bush, or, you know, I've become really big in foraging and stuff like that, or I've immersed myself in my pets, which, as you know, Natalia, I don't have your normal pets. So I've got, you know, reptiles. So, you know, but like I've had to find passions, and I've always had different artistic passions through my life, and different things will serve at different times. But definitely over the last, say, 7 odd years, it's been nature for me, you know, trees, mushrooms, you know, insects, you know, literally like mosses, lichens, you know, the things that grow, like, you know, the mycelium that, you know, holds it all together underneath all of the world, you know, like all of that is something that has been holding me together a lot over the last few years, you know. So I sort of feel like, okay, I have to get out. And that's why I did put in a lot of my you know, new, you know, rules around, you know, I'm going to work one day and then I'm having the next day off, you know, so that way at least I can fill my bucket again, you know, and then I'll work the next day and then I'll have the next day off and then I'm filling my bucket again, because I've learned that, you know, as much as I love all of my clients, you know, because they do so, like they give me so much as I give them. You know, it does. You and I both know that with both of our work, it's still, you know, we still have that part of us that, you know, that we need to fill ourselves. And, you know, so I've had to give myself, you know, that space to do that.
We're the same like that. We have to step away. And I love that you've learned that, because I've seen you before that and after. I've seen the transition and it's like, and I love it. Like, even when you started putting boundaries in place with your times and stuff and how you intake clients, I love it. I'm so proud of you. This is so awesome because, you know, we're not robots, and this world system structure has made people, you know, work this kind of 40-hour week with set times and schedules, and you would have done Friday nights and Saturdays and all that sort of thing too. And it is too much, and like, you need to step back. And how good do you feel that, and you've recognized it, and you've actually put in the steps, which you can do as a entrepreneur, and you know, you've stepped back and you've thought, no, I need this time off, and it's served you, and then you can replenish yourself and serve others again, because it is you are in a service-based industry, which puts you on another level as well. So on that note too, I'd really like to talk about how you give service to people, because, you know, sometimes we don't realize the impact of what we do. And I know that the impact of, for example, sometimes when I've come to see you, the impact has been huge, because, you know, I've been the person that I'm not regularly go and get my hair, you know that of me, like, you know, it could be 6 months or a year before so, because I'm not really high maintenance and all of that. And so, and you know that. It's just so funny how you really tune in as well, because you've sometimes said things where I was like, wow, I can't believe you actually know that or notice that. So how do you like, how do you notice that you actually are impacting clients, or women in particular, but maybe men too?
It's bizarre, you know, like I don't know how, or I don't remember exactly how or when it sort of came to me, you know, but one thing I've sort of learned, and I think it's definitely been since I've, you know, been working for myself, is that, you know, not, you know, it's okay if not everyone comes to me. The right people will come to me, you know, and, you know, my tribe, my people will come to me, because that, you know, it's not just about, I mean, of course they come because they go, oh, I love it, you know, your work, blah, blah, blah. But then when a lot of people get here, and especially first time, you know, like, I've lost count of how many times on, you know, I call it our first date, you know, with a new client, that, you know, we will get into massively in-depth conversations, and it can start from like nowhere, like nothing, you know, and then, you know, often they're sort of going, you know, like, oh, I'm sorry, you know, like, I didn't, you know, expect to be opening up. I'm not normally like this. And it's like, it's okay, you know. And I think the other thing too is that, you know, with me, I like to think I'm very real. You know, I don't act like everything's always wonderful and I'm a happy family. You know, I have you know, experience with mental health with myself and, you know, family, friends, you know, and I'm not afraid to share that. I'm not afraid to share my downs with people. So I think that also helps them to then open up to me, you know, because often a lot of clients like yourself, you'll come in and you'll know practically before you've even walked in and you see me, you'll be like, I had a feeling, you know, but, you know, and I do, and I find that, you know, so many of my clients, you know, like we all connect on a different level. We might not all be all on the same sort of level, but we all connect on a different level, completely unrelated to hair, you know. So like I really feel that, you know, they are here, you know, obviously for me, but, you know, like that I am also there for them, you know, of course. So, you know, it's like we're feeding each other, you know, we're sort of nourishing each other, whether it's with information, with advice, with guidance, with help. Sometimes, you know, the whole thing of even just talking about it, and then when you talk and talk and talk, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've just realized the answer, you know. But just by talking about that with someone, whether they're like-minded or even if they're not like-minded, you know, but having the different ideas and opinions throwing around, or different beliefs, it can, you know, help you in ways that you would never imagine. You know, like I've recently just, you know, in the last lockdown, I'm wanting to actually get more involved in regards to the mental health aspect. You know, like I've got my own, you know, a lot of my own experience, like I said, but I'm really wanting to learn a lot more about how I can support my clients that I can see or that I know, you know, have their own issues, you know, how I can go about helping them, you know, should they choose, you know, they would like my support and help. You know, I also did a webinar in regards to domestic violence and stuff for the exact same, you know, purpose, you know, and, you know, like I want, you know, because I've always felt like I'm more than just a hairdresser. I've always felt like I'm more than just a hairdresser. You don't just come to me for hair, you come to me for something else as well. And, you know, what that is for everyone is different. So I want to sort of grow my knowledge and my understanding of things and, you know, life and everything that we know and everything we, you know, kind of don't know, to, you know, to help people. So, and, you know, hopefully give them guidance when they're sitting there going, oh, I don't know what to do, or, you know, just don't know, you know, or they're just not coping.
Yeah, because you're a good listener. Yeah, you're a good listener. And I think that what you would do is it's like you throw people a seed. And sometimes that's what it is. It's a little seed and it gets into their consciousness. And then you might also give them some advice or like a tip. Or I did see a post you did on domestic violence. I was going to mention it. So I'm glad that you did. And I thought that's awesome. And because with a lot of us, there are other side things that we care about, that we want to do something about, that we care about deeply. And often it comes from a place of understanding it because we've experienced it ourselves, or just because there's something about that just calls to you. And so, the whole mental health thing, it's such a big issue and it's so real. And I love that you're real about it, and real in general. And that's what people need. And that's where being authentic is really comes into it with you as well, because you're not trying to hide and pretend. I mean, we all have the days where you don't want to discuss it, obviously. We don't want to throw it on someone. But you just allow yourself to go there, and it makes people, especially people who, because a lot of people do put up defenses on a face, it just makes them sort of drop that defense a little bit.
And like, it makes them realize that, oh, hey, okay, I'm not the only one that feels this. You know, oh, this kind of sounds like what I felt the other week, you know, maybe I might ask some more questions about it. And it's funny that you mentioned about planting the seed, because I say that with everyone, you know, and I'm pretty sure I said it with you when I mentioned about the blue and the pink and stuff. I was like, I'm planting the seed. You go away and you think about it. Next time I'm planting the seed, mate.
It is, and it's a seed. It really is, because I could feel it blooming. I'm going, oh, yeah, sort of thing. And it starts to, you know, it really is. So you're a seed planter, which is wonderful. And it's like, that's what consciousness is, because there was a while ago where the angels gave me a direct message of it's like seed in your hand, and it blooms into something, and it's like the seed of consciousness, and all the information comes through, and it just opens you up to something that you maybe couldn't see before. So you do have that talent. And also I want to say, from just hearing what you're saying, it's like you're a bit of a sponge, like a psychic sponge, as they say. So that's, you know,
like it's really amazing, because I mean, you know, when I was younger, I've always had a fascination about spirituality, you know, about mediumship, about clairvoyance, you know, like all of that. I've always, and I remember saying this to you, and I think that that's where a lot of our early conversations sort of just built and built and built. And, you know, like, you know, I don't remember exact conversations, but I remember, you know, like I would ask you questions, and sometimes you would kind of have answers, and you'd tell me of some of your experiences, and I'd be like, wow, tell me more, you know. And yeah, I do. It's interesting, you know, because it's something that I just find so incredibly fascinating, because, you know, for so many, it's not something that you can physically see. And, you know, apart from my rainbow hair art, which I can actually picture in my mind's eye, you know, like, it's bizarre because I can see things, I guess, in a sense that I feel things that aren't, you know, that aren't there. And it's, you know, you just sort of go, ooh, or I'll recognize things and I'll be like, oh, okay, I know what that is, you know, and yeah, it's bizarre, but I do. And the amount of stuff that I've gotten from clients who don't even believe in any form of, you know, high consciousness or, you know, spirituality or anything, you know, it's actually quite interesting even what I've gotten from them, you know, and you sort of go, oh, okay, just you know, put that in my bank, you know. Yeah, add to it. Yeah. It's almost like I'm feeding my own seed. It's almost like I'm feeding my own seed.
By putting a seed out, you know, a new one comes to you, and it's just they're the awakening experiences, and you can see how your intuition is just naturally developing because you're open to it and you get it, and that's how your discernment starts to come in, and the wisdom, and you're just receiving it. And I know that happens with me as well, with clients, just something that they will say or something that some guidance I've given them is also for me, and that's how it works with spirit, and you interweave it into your everyday life because then you carry that with you. So then when you go on out for your walks and you're sort of taking care of your snakes and pet snakes and doing stuff like that, that's your moment of, that's like your sort of therapy time sort of thing, and it all integrates and comes to you until the next thing, right? It's kind of like that. Yeah, absolutely. It's like we're giving these little keys along the way, and it opens up new doors, and you do that for others.
Yeah.
And it's like you're a bartender as well. So there's probably the bad side of that, like being a bartender and having everyone come to you for their problems, like the typical empath has to deal with that. Like everyone wants to talk to you on the bus, whatever. I just got a cough. So one of the things that I think that is important in your kind of work is how much, I was kind of touching on it before, but how much just cutting someone's hair or coloring it or whatever, just making a change in someone's life, how much that can impact them in terms of their self-esteem. And I remember one of the recent times I came to you a couple of times ago, and I hadn't cut my hair for a while, and I felt like I was going to cry because it was so emotional for me. And I know you picked up on it, but I didn't want to throw you my energy. It impacted me so much that I'm like, why aren't I taking care of myself, and how unsupported I feel? Because that's actually, there's actually a few things we can talk about there. So one is self-esteem. Another one is I recognize in you too that you might not feel supported always, and I think that some women struggle with that. It would be just nice to feel that. And then, just anything else you want to touch on to do with intuition and owning a business and going for it.
Yeah, it's it's amazing. Like, of course, with the lockdowns, like for me, it's been absolutely heartbreaking because, with my clients, I don't call them my clients, and it actually feels like an uncomfortable word for me. I call them my friends because, I build, such a relationship with each and every one that I feel that we are more friends. And, it's absolutely heartbreaking when, I can't work and, I've got, my friends messaging me, and I know how much their hair means to their own self-esteem, to their mental health. Like, and it breaks my heart that I can't do anything about it. I can't, it's the one thing I can do, but I'm not allowed to do at the moment, and it's very, I can't get the right word at the moment.
You just feel it. Like you feel what they're going through.
I feel it in my heart, like I really feel it way in my heart, and I really feel it way in my gut, and my heart breaks for them, because I know how much it means to them, and I can't do anything. And, you know, I mean, out of lockdown, you know, even just from me being honest and recommending things, and even if sometimes people, you know, don't want to go with my recommendations and stuff like that, you know, like I said, I've planted the seed, and then often they will come back, and then, you know, they will just be, I am so glad, like it is just, it's amazing. The compliments I get, I feel so good. You know, for me, just knowing that they are so happy within themselves, you know, and that I've been able to build up their confidence, you know, and I mean, that also builds up, you know, that level of trust in, you know, our relationship as well. And, you know, that then it's like that tree blooming, you know, and it blossoms, and, you know, that's what that relationship is for me. And, you know, it fills me with so much gratefulness and happiness, you know, as it would for them when they're getting stopped on the street, getting told, oh my God, I love your haircut, it's just wonderful. And they're sort of going, okay, thanks, like, you know, random stranger. You know, I love that, you know, I'm able to build people's confidence and their own self-esteem. You know, like, with support, you know, one thing I've found is that sometimes, you know, you don't kind of get it from the places that, you know, you may have thought that you might have. And it took me a long time to realise that, you know, in a way that's okay, but I also have the power then to find my tribe of people where I can get that support from. So, you know, I joined a lot of networking groups, a lot of business groups. You know, I've met a lot of people. Obviously, you don't always connect with everyone, but I have some amazing friends, you know, that I've met along over, you know, the few years that I've been part of different groups and associations. And, you know, again, we've all connected on a different level. And so then our friendship has grown from there. And then sometimes they've even come to me for service, or I've gone to them for service, you know, so it's not even that's where the connection started. And, you know, you learn, I think, especially when you go out into your own business, to find your tribe, you know, like that's, you know, probably one of the biggest things, to find your tribe. It doesn't have, you know, the old sayings of, you know, blood is thicker than water, and, you know, family this and all, you know, like you don't always, you know, not everybody has that kind of connection with family. Not everybody has a friendship group that they've grown from childhood with, you know. You know, very few people have that lovely fantasy life, you know, that you read about in fairy tales, that we kind of grow up thinking is the norm. And we're sort of sitting there going, we don't have that. And it took me a while to, you know, I guess build my own confidence with that, you know, going out to random groups and networking. And once I did, it, you know, like, again, it just, you know, it helped me to sort of build my own confidence in myself, and, you know, and my tree slowly started to grow, you know. And I'm sure you would agree, Natalia, that I am way more confident now than I was when we first met, you know, probably just as crazy and bubbly, but, you know, and colourful, of course, but I'm probably way more confident. And it's probably also to do with, because, you know, I'm confident on where I am in myself now. Yeah. And I do wonder a lot if that just comes with age, as they say, you know, but I think a lot of that is work as well, work that we've done on ourselves, you know, about our own stories, about our own lives, our own truths and our own values. You know, that all helps us to shape us, you know, who we are, but also how we work, you know, the type of work, you know, career, the type of work that we want to do, the type of impact we want to have, you know, on others as well as our family.
This is where it's all going now, because you recognize it's like you're smashing the old paradigms when you talk about the old kind of idea of what friendship is and those groups and all of that. Like totally know what you mean. And a lot of people do feel alone out there, or like, you know, where's my peeps? I've definitely felt a lot like that. Like, where's my peeps? Like, you know, or you're helping others, but is anyone really helping or noticing or tuning into you back in the same way or depth? Yeah. Or even just in any way of any depth of them recognizing just even a glimpse of who you are, because you do it out, but it doesn't always come back in. So by you realizing, coming into your own and into your discernment and branching out, by branching out, you've been able to like go through all these different pathways, and it's worked for you, and you've sort of needed that support and that just having something of excitement and just like things to do even, and just connecting with people, because connection, that's the really important missing link. Often it's just like we're so isolated these days, and then obviously with all the lockdowns and everything, so human connection's really important. But I think what you were saying before about that you felt a bit like, oh, you feel bad for the women, for example, who can't, you know, get their hair done while they're on lockdown. But I think, you know what, everybody needed to experience that, because I think that you have to just let go of all your artifice, all the facades, and get through that, because they might not have otherwise would have had that experience themselves if it wasn't thrust upon them. And so by letting go of all your facades, and you come more into who you are. And it's difficult in the process because, you know, they got to look themselves in the mirror. But then they've needed to do that. And so now, as we start to wrap up the lockdowns, well, eventually we're on lockdowns for a million years here. Melbourne, we're like permanent lockdown. But you know that when things start to open up again, your work is going to take a new twist and turn, and you'll be helping people in a new way as they sort of pick up the pieces of who they are and make changes in their lives. And then they start to branch out in new ways. So it's so that's where, like, what you're doing is amazing. Just keep it up. And I love that you just trust in yourself now, and that confidence comes from a natural place of who you've always been. And it's just, you're just going there now. So I honor you for that. So thank you so much for like joining in today. It's been super fun and informative, and I've just loved it. It's been awesome. So let everyone know, like, how can they contact you, or what's your social details?
Absolutely. You know, thanks, Natalia, seriously, for having me. Like, honestly, it's my absolute honor. I was so chuffed when you asked me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. I've been telling everyone about it, and it's this, you know, because we have such a, you know, a long, rich history, you know, in so many different ways. And, you know, so it's very meaningful. This is really meaningful to me. So I just wanted to let you know that. Thank you. Oh,
and I think of you as a friend too. I think of you as a friend too. In fact, I was going to introduce you that way and I just forgot.
Right. You know, I'm feeling a bit teary now. It's like, I feel like, you know, like it means that much to me. So I really do appreciate it. You know, but yeah, you can, you know, absolutely. I've got, you know, I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Artistic Hair. It's ARTISTIEK hair. You can, you know, contact me, message me through there, like and follow. You know, if you want some really, some really original artwork from, you know, someone that's down to earth, that you can be open and honest with, that does not judge, you know, please, you know, by all means contact me. You know, I'd be more than honored.
That's awesome. And also, you just reminded me, just to end off, I noticed that I nominated you for this thing. What was it again? You won an award.
Oh, well, yes, I've just won 2 awards with 2 different organisations. So I've actually won, hang on, I'll grab it behind me.
I love it. I'm so happy for you. Like, I was so happy. Let's have a look. What is...
So it's the Australian Achievement Awards in customer service for the Victorian state winner. And I am actually, it's funny because I missed out on national by less than 0.5%.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh my God. So, you know, like I'm still super chuffed, but I'm like, God damn it, I want to know what pushed it through.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Competitiveness. I know that's just the competitiveness in me. But I also, through the Oz Mumpreneur Awards, which is a national, a community where they honour women in business, you know, in all aspects of business. I've just won second place for hair and beauty for Victoria and Tasmania. So, and, you know, both of those were my first year of entering, and it's funny because I had an instinct, I had a gut feeling I might get something somewhere, but I didn't know what. And of course I was trying not to, you know, put all my eggs in the basket, but I got second place, and I'm just absolutely stoked, you know, absolutely stoked. So,
that is amazing. Yeah. I love it. Like, that is so awesome. There you go. That's the universe like pouring it on you, right? And you deserve this. You really do. And it's just nice. It's nice to be recognized, or it's just nice to have an award or have people nominate for you. That's awesome. And, you know, it's not by any mistake, and it's not by, you know, cheating your way through it.
No, of course.
You know, and it's just by you being who you are. You know, so that is awesome. So thank you very much. God bless you in every way, and we'll talk again soon.
You,
okay, bye, Cass. Thank you.